Ilia could knock heavyweights out. We've seen that. He can knock anyone out when he touches them. I think Ilia versus Islam is the biggest fight the UFC can make, hands down, in my opinion. You've got two-weight world champions. One will try go for greatness and be the first triple champ of all time. So it's an absolutely gigantic fight. Like, you cannot beat around the bush. You have to just state the obvious and understand it. However, I don't know if the UFC want to do that, because then you slow down two divisions. But is it worth it? If they're going to get the money in return and the business is there and the people want to see it, the UFC will do it. So it's an interesting topic. I don't believe they're going to do it right now. I think when you've got the likes of Sarukian and Paddy and Gaethje, they need to have that belt competed at lightweight, and Ilia needs to defend that belt. Islam just won the belt and has to fight a welterweight. Do you know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. But it absolutely is the biggest fight in the sport you could make right now. Way bigger than anything to do with John Jones and Aspinall and Pereira, in my opinion.
The only person I just believe that Ilia would, without a doubt, fight is Islam. Doesn't matter what Islam does outside of a fight with him. When that fight will be brought to the table, he'll always go back and revisit that, because that's the biggest fight. And a fight between him and Islam is much bigger than the fight between him and any of those other guys. So while the guys are speaking fact in terms of fight the number one contender, you're not necessarily thinking about the champion side, where the champion at times should go, hey, there's some reservation.
Islam against Ilia is no longer merely fan fiction. Dana White has opened the door to a small, and the world of mixed martial arts is already racing through it. Analysts erupted as soon as he dropped that suggestion. Every expert with a microphone began to weigh in as fans divided into factions.
Ilia Topuria taking on Islam Makhachev. I like that fight. That's a great fight. But here's the question. Is it at 155 or is it at 170?
It's unfair at 170.
I mean, I think Ilia Topuria...
Michael, I know he could win. I know he could. But I think there's like you kind of owe it to competitiveness. To 155 this. I know that Ilia gets the third opportunity at belt, but at no fucking point in UFC history should Ilia Topuria and Michael Morales be in the same weight class. That is something that I don't want to see that listed. Like, at one point, Ilia was at 170 and Michael Morales is a 170 pounder. Like, he just isn't a 170 pounder. Like, that is the case. He can be a featherweight that moves up to lightweight, but I think at 170 the difference would be too much. With Makhachev, it's not limbs, it's not height. Yeah, he's not the tallest guy at welterweight. He's not going to have the longest reach at welterweight, the frame like this. It's the back. When he's on top, you can see his back and his torso. It's like, yeah, you're not getting up from this. Yeah, this is a different type of grappling that you got to watch out for. Maybe Ilia could listen. Doubting Ilia has become like a loser's profession. Like, that's not the thing you want to do. Yeah, don't doubt Ilia because he'll make it happen. And maybe he'll get in Makhachev's head a little bit as well. JDM was kind of just sort of staying calm in the build-up, and someone will ask him a long-winded question and he'll go, yeah, we'll see. And that's it. That's what we get at JDM. But there's no way that's going to sort of get under Makhachev's skin in any way. But Ilia could poke the bear a little bit. He could poke things and pick on things and go this way and get his MMA guru on with rattling Makhachev and his fan base.
Because the globe will be rocked if this showdown actually happens, not just one division. Let's hear what they have to say. Joe Rogan depicted Khabib's camp as a place where champions are chiseled out via pure devotion and distractions are eliminated. No shortcuts, no scrolling, no nightlife, just a never-ending cycle of work and recuperation. Islam Makhachev was shaped by that atmosphere, the version of him that might run into Ilia Topuria. A showdown that feels less like a fight and more like two entirely different planets colliding is what happens when you combine a fighter raised in that pressure cooker with a sniper like Ilia.
I mean, Ilia's got to go out there and beat Justin Gaethje. He's got to go out there and beat Paddy. Whoever he beats, he's got to go out there and get the job done. But Ilia, I'm so curious if Islam can do this to Ilia. Ilia, he matches that skill set, and I just feel like it would be a lot closer of a fight than Jack versus Islam was. That's the fight.
Because if this showdown materializes, it will rock not just a division, but the entire world. Let's hear what they have to say. Joe Rogan depicted Khabib's camp as a place where champions are chiseled out via pure devotion and distractions are eliminated. No shortcuts, no scrolling, no nightlife, just a never-ending cycle of work and recuperation. That's the setting that shaped the version of Islam Makhachev that might run afoul of Ilia. Additionally, a confrontation between a sniper like Ilia and a boxer raised in that pressure cooker feels less like a fight and more like two entirely different universes colliding.
Had unbelievably grueling training sessions, and that was one of the things that was so apparent, like with his endurance and their discipline was like second to none. They were like, no girlfriends, no phones, no bullshit, no video games, fuck you, we train.
Yeah.
And recover, train, eat, recover, train. And you wanna really be a champion, this is how you have to work. And this is how Islam Makhachev is so good. That's why Khabib is so good. Those guys are disciplined.
Ilia isn't exactly keeping quiet as that story develops either. A champion who needs entire camp just to focus on wrestling is already showing cracks, Ilia said, flipping the script immediately after Rogan praised the grind that shaped Islam. He added that Islam should spend some time in Georgia if he wishes to comprehend true hardness. Ilia believes that Islam's method is not the problem. He doesn't have enough fire, and he clarifies it with each comment. When they eventually cross paths, he thinks he will be the one to turn off Islam's lights and shut him down. However, Javier Mendez vehemently refuted Ilia's uninteresting classification, pointing out that Islam had just put on one of the most overpowering displays the welterweight division had ever witnessed. A moment that will go down in UFC history. Nearly 20 minutes in a row of control at Madison Square Garden. He claimed that Ilia is trying to build anticipation for the battle by stirring things up, just like fighters do. However, Mendez made one thing very evident beneath the conversation. That fight will eventually take place if Ilia continues to rise, and the UFC desires it. Mendez thinks the path eventually leads to Islam, whether it's at welterweight or Ilia pursuing something more greater. And Islam will be ready if I truly desire that historic triple champion shot.
There's no emotion in Islam and he's boring. But I mean, how could you say that moment was boring, right? It was one of the most historic moments in the welterweight division now, right? In Madison Square Garden, an absolute domination. 19 minutes and 10 seconds of control time for Islam. It's incredible.
Yeah, no, it was incredible. And, I mean, as a fighter, you got to try to mark up the fights and get everybody involved. And he does a great job of doing that, So let's see what happens, if the UFC offers him, then no problem. I mean, I can't answer for Islam, but I'm saying no problem. Islam and his, Ali, who I consider the greatest manager in the business, will do the right thing for Islam. So, but let's face it, we're going to meet him eventually, whether it's the White House or whether it's another time. Let the UFC decide that, I say. But we're going to meet him eventually if he wants to continue to come up. But I seriously doubt Islam will want to come down. And for him, it's the first time anybody will ever go for a triple, right? He'll be the first triple challenger for it. So that would be a monster fight for the whole world.
Like someone who has seen this game 1,000 times, Michael Bisping shrugged off Ilia's shots. He doesn't think it's a huge discovery that Ilia accused Islam of jumping to 170 out of fear. It's just the type of bait fighters use to pursue a confrontation. He presented it as a pure ploy, a means of making fun of Islam and maintaining his reputation in the Bisping discourse. Before the actual battle takes place, it's all part of the drama. It is not something that should be taken too literally.
People are going to say stuff like that because they want to fight each other. So he's trying to poke the bear and he's trying to get that matchup. Ilia says that Islam ran away to 170 because he was scared of Ilia and all the rest of it.
He knows that I'm dangerous. He knows that I'm going to put him to sleep. Even Khabib.
That's what fighters do. Don't put too much stock into that.
He said you're like the most boring fighter in the UFC or something like that. Can you give us your full thoughts on a fight with him now?
No injury, nothing. I don't feel any pains. I'm ready. Who is going to be next? Let's do this. And I will make.
Furthermore, Bisping is not yet buying into the hoopla. He doesn't think the fight between Islam and Ilia will take place anytime soon. He claims that before considering a move up to welterweight, Ilia is probably concentrated on defending his title a few more times at featherweight. Additionally, Bisping doesn't see a rush for this huge matchup because there are enough of opponents in that category.
Ilia Topuria is going to come out and say that because he wants that fight. Could you imagine if Ilia Topuria was afforded the ability to go up and become a 3-weight division champion? Again, I say it all the time. No one's ever done that. And I don't think that's what's going to happen here just yet. I think Ilia's going to defend. We don't know who it's going to be. Could be Ahmed Sarukin because he's fighting next week in Qatar. It could be Paddy. It could be Justin Gaethje. But he's got to fight one of those. And he's probably going to defend a couple more times as well before he even thinks about going up to welterweight. And then when you look at welterweight, I mean, what is going to happen there? Because the welterweight division is ridiculous right now. Of course, Michael Morales has a claim to fight for the belt because he's 19-0, he's undefeated and just knocked out Sean Brady. You've got Carlos Pratis that just sparked out former champion Leon Edwards in devastating fashion, did something that no one's ever done to Leon Edwards, so he's got a shot. You've also got Shavkat Rakhmonov that was the number one contender, but then he got injured. You've got Bilal Muhammad going up against Ian Gary. Ian Gary's making a lot of noise saying that he wants to fight for the belt as well. And then, of course, after all that, you've got Kamaru Usman, the Nigerian nightmare. So there is no shortage of opponents. Oh, you've also got Joaquin Buckley.
Ali Abdelaziz, on the other hand, didn't hold back, challenging Ilia's strategy and advising him to forge his own route first. He emphasized that Ilia hasn't even defended his championship once, whereas Islam has already done so several times. Ali believes that engaging in combat right now would not benefit Islam and would put Ilia at a physical disadvantage. Building your legacy, accumulating victories, securing contracts, and then pursuing the major battles are his recommendations. Additionally, he cautioned that attempting to incite controversy online, as some have done in the past, will only come back to haunt you when you eventually see your targets in the cage. He believes that Ilia is making the same flirtatious blunders that Dylan Dennis did.
Like, I don't understand this guy. He's just, my opinion, just be yourself. You have to be yourself. And I think, I met this guy before. He's like a decent guy, honestly. He's like nice, but in a way, we get this thing from him, you went there, you haven't even defended your title once. You understand? Islam defended 4 times. Have a couple fights. Islam will fight him. It's no problem. But in a way, why Islam? What Islam have benefit of beating Ilia Topuria, right? Is like almost not beating Dylan Dennis. It's like, because Ilia Topuria is one of the greatest fighters right now. Honestly, he's so good. Honestly, but in a way, you're gonna be in the cage 20 pounds less than Islam. You understand? Yeah. And create your own legacy. Build your own self. You're young. You're hungry. You're good. Make your money. Run your contract out and get a new contract. You understand? And fight Islam for big prize money. Let Islam do his thing. You do your thing. And after that, you guys fight. But in a way, I feel he's taking a page out of Conor's book. When big fights on, you get on Twitter and write, and you get attention. Earn your own attention. Live your own legacy. Don't live legacy for other people.
Chael Sonnen, however, pointed out that the excitement surrounding the White House card is a little exaggerated. He claimed that it is simply annoying to try to promote fights on a card that isn't fully constructed in a venue that doesn't yet exist. However, Sonnen understands the plot of Ilia versus Islam. They are gradually preparing for that matchup to be the main event. He commended Ilia for demonstrating his ability to subdue more formidable opponents and pointed out that facing someone like Kamaru Usman would be the ultimate test for Islam, a match that would genuinely indicate a change in leadership. He claims that since there isn't an old guard to overthrow, the conflict with Ilia doesn't currently have the same historical significance.
The dialogue around the White House card is annoying. It's annoying to try to book a card that is not yet built at a venue that does not yet exist, to place an octagon who has not yet been constructed for the space. I do think it's annoying, but I do think that Ilia and his match with Islam is the match they're building towards main eventing on that card. So how are you going to get him there? Ilia went and did his part. Ilia showed I can beat the big guys. I can control the big guys. You want to do another big guy? I mean, the ultimate way for Ilia to really show us, and I'm saying Ilia, I mean Islam, for Islam to really show us, the ultimate way for him to show us I can do this work would be against Kamaru Usman. That's the one where we all stand back and go, okay, there's a changing of the guard. This doesn't feel like a changing of the guard because we didn't have an old guard.